Welcome to our channel where we delve into the darkest corners of the world, seeking out the shadows that conceal the unexplained. Today we uncover the chilling tales of haunted prisons, places where the guilty were condemned and where some say their souls still remain. These are places where the air itself is thick with despair, where whispers of past horrors echo in the silence, and where the living fear to tread. Prepare yourself for 3. The unsolved mysteries of haunted prisons, spirits of the incarcerated. These aren't just stories, they're glimpses into the abyss, reflections of our deepest fears. Let's begin our journey. Our journey begins in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, at the Eastern State Penitentiary. This isn't just any prison, it's a sprawling Gothic fortress, a monument to isolation and punishment. Completed in 1829, it was designed to inspire penitence in its inmates, to force them to confront their sins in solitary confinement. But some say the isolation drove men mad, their sanity shattering within those cold, unforgiving walls. Eastern State was known for its innovative yet brutal system of solitary confinement. Prisoners lived, ate, and worked alone in their cells. Their only contact with the outside world a small skylight, open to the heavens but offering no escape. Imagine the despair, the crushing weight of solitude year after year. Is it any wonder that such darkness would leave an imprint, a stain upon the very soul of the prison? Even today, after its closure in 1970, Eastern State Penitentiary remains a place of unsettling energy. Visitors and staff report a chilling presence, a feeling of being watched, followed by unseen eyes. Cold spots send shivers down spines, and disembodied whispers seem to emanate from the walls themselves. One of the most infamous areas is cell block 12. Here, shadowy figures are said to dart between the cells, vanishing as quickly as they appear. Some have described a feeling of dread so intense, so overwhelming, that they're forced to flee the cell block in terror. Then there's the haunting face that appears in the cell block window, a face contorted in silent agony, forever trapped behind bars. Is it a residual echo of the suffering endured within these walls, or something more sinister? Perhaps a soul forever bound to the site of its torment. In the prison's hospital wing, where the sick and dying were taken, there have been reports of a ghostly figure in a blood-soaked gown. Some say it's the spirit of a former inmate seeking solace that death never brought. Footsteps echo in the empty corridors, heavy and deliberate, as if someone or something is patrolling the halls. But when investigators turn to face the sound, they're met with only emptiness. The footsteps continue, a chilling reminder that some things cannot be explained away. Eastern State Penitentiary stands as a chilling testament to the darkness that can fester within the human heart. It's a place where the line between the living and the dead blurs, and where the spirits of the incarcerated seem to linger still. Our next stop takes us to a desolate island shrouded in mist and legend, Alcatraz. Rising from the icy waters of San Francisco Bay, Alcatraz was once considered the most secure prison in America. It housed some of the nation's most notorious criminals, men like Al Capone and George Machine Gun Kelly. But Alcatraz was more than just a prison. It was a symbol of isolation, a place where hope went to die. Surrounded by the treacherous currents of the bay, escape seemed impossible. The island itself held them captive, its cold, unforgiving presence a constant reminder of their confinement. Today the prison stands empty, a decaying monument to a bygone era, but the stories of Alcatraz refuse to die. They linger like the fog that often blankets the island, tales whispered by former inmates and guards. One of the most haunted areas is said to be Cell Block D, also known as the Hole. This was solitary confinement at its most brutal, a place of absolute darkness and sensory deprivation. It's said that the spirits of those driven mad by the Hole still linger within its walls. Visitors and staff report feeling an oppressive presence, a sense of being watched. Some have even claimed to hear the clanging of cell doors, the echoing screams of tormented souls. Cell 14D is a particular hotbed of paranormal activity. It's said that an inmate housed there in the 1940s claimed to be terrorized by a creature with glowing eyes. The inmate's screams for help were ignored, dismissed as the ravings of a madman. But when the guards finally checked on him the next morning, they found him dead in his cell, his face contorted in a mask of sheer terror. Even today, visitors to cell 14D report feeling a bone-chilling cold, a sense of dread. Some have even claimed to see a shadowy figure lurking in the corner of the cell, its eyes burning with an unnatural light. Alcatraz Island stands as a chilling reminder that some places are forever marked by the events that transpired within their boundaries. Our final destination takes us deep into the heartland of America, to the imposing Ohio State Reformatory in Mansfield, Ohio. Built in 1886, the Reformatory was intended to rehabilitate young offenders, to offer them a chance at redemption. But the prison's noble intentions soon gave way to a brutal reality. Overcrowding, violence, and abuse became the norm, and the Reformatory transformed into a breeding ground for despair. For nearly a century, the Ohio State Reformatory bore witness to unimaginable suffering. The cries of the tormented echoed through its corridors, their pain seeping into the very walls. And when the prison finally closed its doors in 1990, it left behind a legacy of darkness, a chilling presence that continues to haunt the site to this day. One of the most notorious areas within the Reformatory is the Hole, a series of solitary confinement cells located in the prison's basement. These cells were nothing more than pits of despair, dark, damp, and infested with vermin. Prisoners were often left in the hole for days, even weeks at a time, with little food, water, or human contact. It's said that the spirits of those who died in the hole still linger within its depths, their anguish etched into the cold, unforgiving stone. Visitors and staff report feeling an overwhelming sense of dread, a palpable feeling of being watched, followed by unseen eyes. Some have even claimed to hear the faint cries of the tormented, their voices echoing up from the darkness. The Reformatory's former administration block is another hotbed of paranormal activity. This is where the warden's office was located, as well as the prison's death row. Visitors and staff report seeing shadowy figures moving through the halls, hearing disembodied voices and feeling sudden drops in temperature. One of the most well-known stories associated with the administration block is that of Helen, the spirit of a former warden's wife who is said to have been murdered within the prison walls. Legend has it that Helen was having an affair with one of the inmates, and when her husband discovered the truth, he flew into a jealous rage and killed her. To this day, visitors and staff report seeing Helen's apparition wandering the halls of the administration block, her face pale and drawn, her eyes filled with a mixture of sadness and anger. Some have even claimed to feel her touch, a cold, ethereal brush against their skin. Throughout the Reformatory, there have been reports of doors slamming shut on their own, objects moving mysteriously, and even full-bodied apparitions appearing and disappearing at will. One of the most chilling stories is that of the Lady in Black, a shadowy figure that is said to haunt the prison's chapel. Legend has it that the Lady in Black was a former inmate who was forced to give birth to her child while incarcerated. The child was taken away from her shortly after birth, and the woman died in childbirth, her heart broken and her spirit forever bound to the prison walls. The Ohio State Reformatory stands as a chilling testament to the darkness that can fester within the human heart. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the haunted prisons, where the echoes of suffering mingle with the whispers of the dead. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more spine-chilling stories. Until next time, stay curious and stay safe. Remember, sometimes the most terrifying monsters are not the ones we imagine, but the ones that lurk within the human heart.